It is not hard to see that a lot has happened since March. The church has been just turned upside down on its head. We've had to learn to be flexible. Things have moved online. Indoor worship was shut down. There's just been a lot that has happened. And I understand that to a degree. There's strong opinions both ways, like should we have shut down or not shut down? Should we still meet? And all this, and we'll save that for another day. But there is a phrase that I have kept hearing that truly does concern me about the future of our churches. And I'm going to discuss what that phrase is. I'm going to talk about some ways that we can look at this from a different perspective. And then I'm going to close with some words to church leaders to really encourage you to be bold and to be brave and to be strong as we look ahead into the future. People really like the safe route. They like their comfortability. They like their familiarity. But here's the concerning phrase. I hear people just say, if we could only get back to normal, okay? If we could only get back to the way that things were. And what that implies to me is that the way things were okay. That the way things were, if we just got back to them, that everything would be great. But what if everything wasn't great? And I'm sorry if I sound like a critic. This is not my intention. I'm just a little bit concerned by this perspective that says we just need to get back to the way things were. Now, if by that you just mean I just want to be around my friends and I don't want to wear masks and I really want to be back inside because it's winter and all of this, and maybe we can't meet at all and I'm in my home and I just want to be with my friends, like I get that. That's valid. But if all we really mean is just get back exactly to the way things were, like get back to normal, then I'm really concerned by that perspective. It really concerns me that maybe we have not learned the lessons that we needed to learn at this time. Because for a lot of churches, back to normal meant lack of evangelism, lack of disciple making, decline, lack of joy, energyless worship, right? So the worst thing a lot of churches can do is get back to normal, is to not learn any lessons, is to look at this and say, after all we've been through, 10 months, 11 months now, it's like after all we've been through, have we really not learned anything? So much so that if COVID just went away tomorrow, if we could like snap our fingers and COVID was gone, that we would want things exactly as they were. That we would want the same leadership style, we would want the same eldership style, we would want the same vision or lack of vision, we would want the same evangelistic plan, we would want the same level of disciple making, we would want the exact same kind of worship. Like, what if we actually had an opportunity to reevaluate? As things are shut down, as we're not having so much fellowship activities, as we're not investing our time into Bible classes, and there's so much we're not doing right now, that God is giving church leadership margin to explore new opportunities, to explore new ways of looking at things, and to assess our previous vision and pray about it and determine whether or not it was adequate for the tasks that face the church in the future. So I'm a little troubled that a lot of people just think that how it was really okay, because a lot of it really wasn't okay. But it's time to reevaluate. It's time to say we have a grand opportunity to look at what we were doing and to see if it was working, because we haven't done any of it for like 9 months. When you haven't done something for 9 months, you actually have some distance on it. You have some margin with it, some buffer to it that, like, let me put it this way. When you're in the middle of fellowship events and weekly worship and weekly singing and weekly Bible classes and all these things, it's really hard to see them for what they are. But when you say, well, we're not going to do any of that, and you step back for 9 months and you've not done any of it, and you have a grand opportunity to launch back into it, is your approach to launching back into it just to say, let's just get classes covered again. Let's just get an okay teacher to teach an okay subject again in the same kind of format we've always done. But now you have an opportunity to look at it and say, is what we were doing really working? Is there really maybe a better approach? Are there other things we could do with the Sunday morning Bible class hour? Something more interactive, something that would engage people on a deeper level, something intergenerational, something that would help with making disciples. Maybe it would be an equipping time. There are all these things that we could do. And because now we've had 9 months of space from the way we've done things, we can look at it more objectively and feel more okay about having a critical eye on it, because no one's currently doing it. Like, if I say Bible class isn't going well when I have 4 people teaching Bible class, they're going to think, well, I'm just saying something bad about them. But if what we can say is when we did class 9 months ago, or we did fellowship activities 9 months ago, we're now seeing that there are other ways of looking at that we have other opportunities or approaches that we're just going to try as we slow walk ourselves back into some normal level of church life. It's a grand opportunity. Let's not miss it for just trying to get things back the way they were. Please don't put things back the way they were. If the way they were was dysfunctional, if the leadership style and culture was dysfunctional, if things weren't working, please don't put them back in a way that wasn't working. This should be common sense, but we're so operated by fear and worry that sometimes we lack the boldness to move ahead and just try new things. Part of our problem is we think that decisions are like forever decisions. Like if we say we're going to change the way we do Bible class, like we're saying it's the way we're going to do it forever. Just pilot something. Tell the church, as we come back, we're going to do it this way for 3 months. And then maybe we're going to try it this way for 3 months. And we're just going to see how this works with our church culture and if it really meets needs in the ways that we haven't done it. And if it just all completely falls apart, then we'll look at some more traditional approaches and models or look at some brand new things. People have learned to be flexible, and often church leadership culture assumes the worst of people. And maybe that's because you've received the worst from people. But people are far more willing to accept change than you know if the change is reasonably communicated, if the change is a reasonable change, and if people understand the vision and how far that change is going to go. If you can communicate those things, front load that communication on the front end, then you are relieving people of the tension and worry that they're having of like what's next and what's that leading to and where are we going. If you tell them where you're going and you explain why you're doing it, rather than just say, well, we're going to do this is what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, but you never give them the why, you never give them how far, how long, and what this might lead to. Another thing that happens when people say, we just want to get back to the way things were, we just want to get things back normal again, that really demonstrates a lack of creativity. Because you could say, well, if normal is seeing faces and singing and passing the Lord's Supper together, communion together, you could say, well, all you have to do is meet outside in distance. Like that's the only shift you have to take. Like take the same people and go outside with them, maybe move it to the afternoon when it's a bit warmer in the wintertime, or just our inability for many churches to not be able to even make such small shifts. The inflexibility that pandemic is demonstrating is truly concerning, because the church is going to face greater shifts than these down the road. And if we can't navigate or manage these when we're forced into it, then I'm a bit concerned about what's ahead. You don't have Sunday morning Bible class? Encourage small groups meeting outside. Just get creative, get flexible, pray about it, ask God to show you what's next, and then follow his lead. Now, a word to church leaders, elders, ministers, deacons, etc., pastors, preachers. It's time to ask some hard questions. And they don't have to be big public hard questions, although you might need to do that. They can be private internal questions. Was the way we were doing it really working? What was normal, and was normal really okay? What else might God be calling us to? Who else in this community might God be calling us to? What kind of needs exist in our neighborhoods that we were not aware of prior to COVID? What kind of new ministries can we start at this time or when we're back ready to relaunch? It's almost like a church could replant itself coming back. You haven't had Sunday school. You haven't had in-person worship. This is an opportunity for some churches. Replant yourself. And I'm not saying just rebrand a new logo. You could do all of that, and it may be a great time to get someone in to give you a new logo and all this, but unless there's a change in church culture and an added flexibility and adaptability, you're just kind of being superficial. So catch your breath. Take a moment and pray, fast, ask God exactly what he wants from this congregation, from the church that you're leading at. Don't blow up the opportunity by sitting on your hands, just trying to just wait this thing out to get back to the way things were, because the way things were, maybe were not working in the first place. Instead, pray, dream, fast, talk with spiritually minded people, see where their heart's at, and then find some alignment of vision that your church can pursue and communicate it extremely well with great effectiveness. Communicate these things, over-explain, over-communicate to the congregation, walk them to and through these things so that they feel comfortable with what's going on, but still challenged. We don't want people to be so comfortable that they don't grow, but so challenged that they jump ship. Church leaders, God did not put you in this position to be led by worry. He didn't put you in this position to be dictated by fear. to be an anticipator of complaint, and to lead by the committee of complainers? God will guide those who ask for his direction. And when you know that God has guided you, he will convict you, and you will operate out of a conviction that is so strong that to not do so, to not take the church the direction that God is directing you, would be disobedient. And the church is so waiting for vision. The church is so waiting for vision. It's so looking for people to step up and step to the plate and say, this is where we're going, and God is directing us this direction, and please come along with us. And it's going to be a great future. In 5 years from now, you will be so glad that you did it. You will be so glad to look back and see all that God did to provide. If you lose some members, you'll be amazed to see who God has put in your path, in your place, in your way, to fill those gaps, to fill those needs, and he will provide you the abundance, the resources, the means to do exactly what it is that he is calling you to do. He will not leave you short. I want you to know that you're not alone in this, that there's support, there's help, there's encouragement. If you'd like to text me, my number is 334-750-9919. You're welcome to text me and we can connect. I would love to encourage you. If you're afraid of the future, you're a church leader, an elder, and you're just really afraid of what's next, just be of good cheer that there are people who can surround you, who can encourage you to take the hard step, to do the difficult thing, and can encourage you along the way, because you are not alone and God is with you. So I love you. I appreciate you watching this. If you're new to the channel and you're a church leader, there's a lot here for you on church leadership culture. Just search the channel for leadership, and you'll see exactly what's there. There's a lot there for you. And I'm appreciative of the fact that you're watching this. There are great days ahead. They are going to come with some challenge, but we're up for the challenge because God's going to empower us through his Spirit to tackle things we didn't even know we could do. And so if these are things that you are helped by, I would love for you to subscribe, and we will see you very soon. I have another video coming up later this week. God bless.